still go, 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 yo, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They deceive with the negativity.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this very special edition of the Diamond Report. We are graced by the man, myth, the legend, the one and only Seven, man who knows more baseball knowledge than most people. That's the only way to put it. Like,
I wouldn't say most people, but I know more than a lot of Yankees fans.
I mean, that's not a hard task. So we are here to discuss what is always a exciting and interesting time of the year, and that is the MLB Trade Deadline ended at 5 o'clock today, and it did not fail. It was a crazy day. I'm a little pissed, or I was a little pissed, and then Framber Valdez went out there and threw a no-hitter today and kind of eased my frustration. So that helped, but the Mets fire sale, let's just call it what it is. Scherzer to the Rangers, Verlander back to Houston for a steal. If I want to look at some of the positive there, they got him for a motherfucking steal.
When I think that they did a little bit better. When I initially saw what the deal was, because initially all that came out is Verlander's going to Houston, and Houston's number 1 and number 4 prospects are going to the Mets. And you're like, that's kind of a bad deal.
Why? Yes, why?
Yeah, that's a bad deal. But then you learn that the Mets are also sending about 2/3 of Verlander's remaining contract in cash to the Astros as well. And it's like, okay, so essentially the Mets are paid to rent Verlander for a little bit, see if they could do anything with him. They couldn't, so like, all right, you guys can have that.
Well, the one thing I see here is because I still feel he's 40. He's 6-5, but coming off a Cy Young year for him, this is very much of a slump. Like, he's not where he should, even it coming down some. He's come down a lot. He spent a good portion of the early part of the year injured. And he's just not the man that he was. However,
he's 40.
Exactly.
40.
100%.
And he has to bang Kate Upton every day. That would take a lot out of me too, because I would be solely focused on that over baseball. Sorry, but
you were with us when it happened. I was happy that they did not re-sign him. I was glad that he went to the Mets, because I honestly felt like last year that was Verlander's final peak. His final, that was it. He came off of a surgery that most people did not think he was going to come off so well, and had an outstanding year. He proved a lot of people wrong, but also, even without Tommy John surgery, as you just said, he's freaking 40. That's a lot of wear and tear on a shoulder for a baseball player. The one positive I see to this is he is a great leader in the locker room, and he's a great vet to have on that team to bring that World Series mentality, as he's been there for both. So, couple of positives. I don't think necessarily him in the pitching rotation is a huge negative or positive, but
it is. I find it. I think that the Astros definitely came out better in this situation.
Yes. Now that you told me
because
the other part of that, I 100% agree.
you get the extra you Verlander. I think it's a win. Honestly, I think this is the Verlander situation is a win-win for Verlander and for the Astros because he is you do have somebody in Verlander that's going to be a leader in that clubhouse, which is I think going to be very important to develop consistency, which is something Houston desperately needs right now because
If Houston can get consistent, they are a World Series contender. But I agree with what you said before this show. If they don't, they are absolutely not. They're absolutely not. They're going to be struggling to win the division if they don't get consistent because the Rangers, the next team we're going to talk about, the Max Scherzer trade, the $1 million fucking man. That man is going to make $45 million off of 3 fucking teams this season.
Yep. He's the first player to be getting paid more than $15 million a year by 3 teams at the same time.
I think you might have sent me that. That was
I can't remember, but I know I saw that online, and it's just I always going to respect players getting their money when they can. So I think that it's a win for both Verlander and for the Astros. He gets to come home because he's going to finish his career in Houston.
Yeah,
I think we can all realistically follow that. If they win,
if this isn't the last year, I'd be surprised.
Technically he's got 2 more years.
Technically he does, but I could see with him coming back, him seeing, okay, this year has not been like last year. I'm going to go ahead and because he had a no trade clause, and he said, I'm going to go ahead and waive this no trade clause, go back where I should have stayed, retire, finish this season, and hang it up a Stro with 2 World Series. He'll go down. He'll go down in the books with guys like Nolan and Clemens, and so.
Yeah, no, and I think that if the Astros win the World Series this year,
for sure,
I'm still not convinced. I'm still not convinced that they can, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities. But if the Astros win this season, if they win the World Series this season, I would not be surprised to see him walk away.
I'd say it's 50-50 if they don't win, but 100% if he gets a third, he's out. He's out. There's nothing for him to prove after that point.
Absolutely. He has no reason.
Honestly, he shouldn't have come back. He should have retired after this past one. Truly. No offense to JV, but
as much, I don't blame him. It's just like with Aaron Rodgers. That's still a decent amount of money on the table.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. $85 million for 2 years for a 40-year-old pitcher is not a bad deal at all.
I don't blame
he's got to keep Kate Upton happy.
He's got to get those. He's got to get those pro athlete juice.
You know, it was her. She was like, I don't like rooting for this losing ass team, the Mets. I want to go back to Houston, where I can get drunk and root for winners.
Like, and I first I want to say I feel bad for the Mets because
oh my god, dude, Mets fans.
Like and Mets fans because you had.
That's why I want Will here.
There was so much talent on that roster. We were talking about it at the beginning of the year. That was, on paper, one of the most broken starting rotations in Major League Baseball history.
Yeah.
But obviously, that it like playing the show with franchise mode with just giving everybody what they want and keeping everybody like that. That's what it was like, and I feel like.
Could you imagine if they had gotten Correa?
Well, but look at what Correa has done this
year. Yeah, Correa, if he was on a quality team, they would be in a World Series discussion. Like the problem.
Correa has not done well this year.
Really?
He's
I
hit
thought
south
he
of
was doing
275.
well. Mhm.
Nope.
Sorry,
Nope.
sorry, misheard.
Nope. Yeah. No.
I thought he was having a pretty positive season, just in a bad team.
Unfortunately not. No. Um, Correa did
Well,
not. I don't think he has been up to the expectations, and I think a lot of it has to do with all of the issues that he had getting a
that we're
deal
coming
because
up
of
on the physicals, yeah.
the physicals. I think that kind of took the wind out of his sails, honestly. But
Well, I mean, he still got it. He got a decent deal, and he knew it was probably his last deal, and all he's got to do is sit back and make his money. So,
yeah,
um,
you're right.
um, so all right. Some of the other crazy things we saw, as we said, Scherzer to the Rangers. What do you think of this? I thought it's funny. Two teammates are now going to be division rivals. Not only division rivals, but the two teams that are vying for the number one spot in that division. So, I thought that was funny.
Well, Scherzer said to it came out this afternoon or this evening. Scherzer said that one of the reasons why he ended up going to the Rangers was because he was talking to the Mets front office, and they said that it looks like they're building more for like 25 or 26, with realistically 26 being when they expect to be a competitive team again. And that's why he ended up going to the Rangers. And it's just like, for me, it's like, how can you go from a World Series favorite at the beginning of the year to in rebuild, not just rebuild mode, but we're looking 2 to 3 years down
And I don't see
the
that.
road.
I don't see it.
I don't understand how they could have fallen apart so bad. I get that this Buck Showalter's probably done after the season.
Aren't you getting firing Buck chants right now on Twitter? Didn't I see that?
Firebuck, and I don't know that it's all Buck Showalter. I think that even when you have supreme talent,
It's hard to make all that
team,
high rate talent mesh.
It's not just about that. It's that you even see small market teams that don't have such huge talent win the World Series. We've seen it multiple times. The Royals, their run in 2014 when they made the World Series and lost to the Giants, and then again in 2015 when they won the World Series, was lightning in a bottle. You've got the Phillies, the Nats, small market teams. I mean, the Pirates at the beginning of the year were blowing people away. There was people that, based on how they did in April and May, saying that they were a World Series team, and now the Pirates aren't. The Orioles have just been consistently building through the thing. You don't see a lot of household names on the Orioles. There's a lot of talent, but there's not a lot of household names on the Orioles. And
I may be wrong, but I feel like Atlanta's in that same boat. Like, I don't know anybody who plays for Atlanta.
I mean, there's more substantial talent on the Braves, I think, than the Orioles. But the Braves, the Orioles, they've just built, and you're looking at a decent team. But it's that whole lightning in a bottle thing, and I think that for World Series teams, or any championship team, baseball, basketball, hockey, football, whatever, lightning in a bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to catch it. It's very, very hard to catch it. Now, with the Rangers have been pretty methodical with how they built. You get a very experienced veteran in Max Scherzer, who I think brings a solid punch to their starting rotation that they definitely need. And the postseason experience is, I think, going to be hugely helpful for the Rangers. The postseason experience that Scherzer has is going to be hugely helpful for the Rangers as they go into October. And so I still can't confidently say that the Rangers are a World Series team. What I can confidently say is they will make some noise in the playoffs. Some noise, yes. Are they a World Series team? It's really hard to say because right now I think that when you look at the American League, the Rays and the Orioles are the two legitimate World Series contenders out of the American League, and then obviously out of the National League, you've got the Braves. And
Rays are kind of slumping.
I mean, they got swept by the Sox, which surprised the hell out of me. I just wanted Boston to take 2 or 3 out of that series, and the Braves ended up getting swept. But I think they'll find it. There's always those nerves that you see around the deadline, so I think there's a lot of stress. Like with the Red Sox, because there was rumors that Alex Verdugo was on the trade block, and then yesterday evening after the Mariners game, it came out. Boston had said, nope, he's not on trade block. Today, Verdugo, so far in the game against the Mariners, I haven't seen all the full numbers yet, but I know that Verdugo played well tonight. The stress of that wears on players. You've got to think about this. If you're going into a job, regardless of how much money it pays, if you don't know you're going to have a job the next day, it's going to be hard to perform as much as if you know all you got to do is come in and go to work. And so I think that the Braves can bounce back from the struggles that they've had over the last couple of weeks. And I think we're going to see the Braves get more consistent, refine their consistency as they work into October. And then when push comes to shove, I think they are at least an NLCS team. I realistically right now, if I had to pick, the NLCS is the Braves and the Dodgers, with the Braves going to the World Series. Like just a blind pick, not looking at seeding or anything like that. That's what I see.
And on the other end, you're thinking it's Tampa and Oriole.
I think if Houston finds consistency, whoever wins the AL East will be going up against whoever wins the AL West out of Houston and the Rangers in the ALCS. But I could be wrong. And
I mean, you said it right on the dot. We've said a lot. It's they've got to find the consistency. They've got to they've got to string some wins together. If they can't string some wins together, they're going to make the playoffs just by the skin of their teeth, because the wild card division, the wild card spots are going to be really fucking close. Really fucking close.
The wild card race for both sides right now, both the American League and the National League, is just absolutely ridiculous. I was watching MLB Network today, watching trade deadline coverage, and one of the things that they threw out that I thought was just mind-blowing is when you think about the new playoff format for the Major League Baseball that started last year and this year, where essentially you've got three wild card slots plus the 3 division winners. No, four wild card slots, but I can't remember. Whatever it is, 21 of the 30 teams in Major League Baseball are either in a playoff spot if the season ended today or within 5 games. And within 4 or 5 games, that's a week of baseball, and you're in a spot. So it's this next 2 months of baseball is going to be super impactful for most of the league, unless your teams like the Pirates, the Royals, or the A's, and the Yankees. And it's crazy to think that the Yankees bowed out because they were only, last I knew, 1 to 2 games behind Boston. So they're right there in it.
Not having Aaron Judge has been really, really detrimental.
It is, but the other part of it is with the Yankees. We can kind of talk about them for a minute. Anthony Rizzo, through the last 50 games, is hitting worse than Joey Gallo was through his worst 50 games with the Yankees. Giancarlo Stanton not doing very well.
No, me and
Um,
Dan talk about that a lot because Giancarlo Diaz Stanton.
I mean, the greatest ass in baseball is playing like ass
Mm-hmm.
right now. It's just an unfortunate truth, and then so right now you're looking at the Yankees, and it's something that I've said countless times. Is yes, I'm a Red Sox fan, but I still respect the organization, the Yankees,
Yeah,
because
I
there's a
agree.
lot of history there. And if your entire offense is predicated on one guy, that does not work in professional
Mm-mm.
baseball if you want to be a World Series contender or even a playoff team. Not anymore.
Mhm.
You could The Yankees could have gotten away with that in maybe the 70s and 80s. Maybe the 70s and 80s, and but even in 90s baseball, it would you can't tell me 90s Yankees get as many World Series as they did if they had the same quality of offense that they have right now.
Yeah.
It's not happening. And it's just not happening. And the Yankees made a couple of small moves today, but ultimately nothing of consequence. And they're just sticking their head in the sand.
Yep.
You you know, um, Fire Cashman was trending on Twitter this evening as the trade deadline hit. And I thought that was really funny, and I think it's great that Yankees Twitter is really seeing the impact of the Yankees front office putting so much weight on keeping Aaron Judge and not enough weight on building an entire fucking baseball team. And I feel bad to say that it looks like it is, but that's not Aaron Boone's fault. It's not Aaron Boone's fault. He can only coach the players that the front office gives him. It's not like Aaron Boone's out there pounding the pavement, calling other teams, talking to free agents, going, "Hey, come sign with us. I'll give you $20 million a year." That's just not how it works. So the pressure, the pressure and the hate on Cashman from Yankees fans, the New York media, it's warranted. And especially because now, if you look at New York sports fans, the Mets had one of the best starting rotations and decent offensive projections at the start of the year. They shit the bed. Aaron Judge got hurt, and the Yankees completely fucking collapsed. New York sports fans are in tatters right now because they have nothing to cheer for. What do they have to look forward to? Aaron Rodgers and the Jets? Really? That's what
Buffalo.
you got? Or White Vic and the Giants? Really? Is that are we going to try and put our faith back for a New York sports fan on the Knicks? Oh, maybe the Rangers finally learned how to play hockey again. New York sports is falling apart, man. But there is
The man is here, Mr.
What's up,
Wiggins.
Seven?
Oh, what's up, Will?
How you
What's up,
doing,
buddy?
brother?
We were just
Will
talking
can't
about
stay
your
long, and I'm
Mets.
gonna have to jump out of here soon too because I gotta start the new job tomorrow and get some sleep. But
Yeah,
I
no
did want
worries.
to
Well,
bring Will in as a Mets fan. Like you've got to be like so frustrated because as Seven has said multiple times on so far, like y'all were projected World Series contenders at the beginning of the season. Y'all spent something like $300 million in total on all kinds, and that's only because you got out of the Correa deal and just traded everything away, fire sale.
Well,
And
that shows you. Well, that
from what
shows you. in
Seven
sports.
said, Scherzer said that he was told that they're looking at 2026 before they're competitive again.
Well, that shows you in sports. It's not all necessarily about the size of your payroll to be a success, and this shows you exactly what that is. You can look good on paper. You can have the highest payroll, but at the end of the day, if you mismanage it, if you don't have that cohesiveness as a team, you're not going to be successful. And the Mets have been mismanaged for the longest. Sure, they've got great talent on paper, but for some reason, it won't all come together. Perfect example of this year, I think you look at the Miami Dolphins. Yeah, they look good on paper. They look hella scary on paper, but we gotta see how the finished product pans out. So I think with the Mets is
It
utter
would stay off the
frustration.
ground.
Yeah, but I just think with the Mets is utter frustration because hey, we spent the money, but mismanagement plays a part of it, and the talent has to perform. And when those two things happen, you're not going to be successful at all. And the Mets finally see that, and they say, "Hey, look, we're not winning. We're not going to do anything. Let's go ahead, restart, reload." The only issue with that, though, um, you have to sort of kind of hope that fans see that and understand that and be willing to stick with you. And with all the frustration with the Mets have gone down, and I've said this several times, I know a lot of Mets fans have jumped the bandwagon, have jumped the back, got off the fan train, and gone with other teams because it's going to be. I'll give it later than 2026 to be competitive.
When he
I give
said
it
that, I was
2028.
like, that seems like a moonshot. I don't see it. Now they did pick up some interesting prospects in their trades that could possibly make 2026 a seeable year, but to
I'm
me,
looking
that's
2020. I'm looking 2028 before they get things turned around.
But also, what
It's
Seven was saying too, in New York, being a sports fan, period, right now is just sad. It's sad.
It's tough. It's really
it
tough
is.
because you see what the Giants are doing. Having that little infighting with Saquon before they got him to sign. You see the Yankees are sort of kind of struggling on the
Oh, the
back end of the
Yankees are
season.
done. Their season's
The,
over.
So
the Yankees have basically put their head in the sand at this point.
pretty
It's
much.
well. Let me ask you this: as a Mets fan,
Mhm.
so I know that you mentioned, obviously the talent performing and mismanagement being key pieces to why they are at where they're at. How much of this now? Obviously, Buck Showalter's going to get fired by the end of the season.
Oh yeah.
How much of this is actually Buck Showalter's fault? That's a question that I have for Mets fans. Is how much do you think this is actually Buck Showalter's fault? Because that is a supreme level of talent, and Steve Cohen going out and basically just handing a blank check to his GM and saying, "Go get him,"
I
and
give.
then these are the results you get. So is it production or is it management?
I think it's 60-40 management. I still think it's 60-40 management. Yes, you would not spent the money, but that don't mean that all money spent is not good money. And as far as Showalter is concerned, I put 40% of the blame on him. And the only reason why I put 40% of the blame on him is because yeah, your team might not get your message, but it's still your responsibility as an athlete to go out there and perform. And when you don't show up the way you should show up on a nightly basis, I'm sorry, I just can't I just can't call the skipper out completely because the athletes have to have responsibility to go out there and do what they need to do, and they haven't been doing it.
I mean, I
Yeah,
can't. Oh, go ahead,
go ahead.
Seven. Go ahead.
I would say, yeah, it's a very difficult situation with the Mets and with the Yankees. I think that you're gonna see you're gonna see Showalter fired. They're gonna hire a new GM this winter as well. That was I think that was already discussed if I
Yep.
remember correctly. Um, I think it's David Stern is who they're bringing in if I remember correctly. I can't remember. I'm not 100% on that, but Cashman's gone from the Yankees.
Mm.
There's no way he keeps his job.
Yeah, he can't now.
I actually, and I legitimately think because of these issues, I think that Aaron Boone keeps his job,
Mm.
or whether or not Aaron Boone keeps his job is going to be up to who they hire to replace Cashman.
Right. Gotcha.
Personally,
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you can't, your offense should not fall apart because one guy's gone. Don't get me
You're right.
wrong. I have a lot of respect for Aaron Judge. I make a lot of jokes about him, but I know that he is a damn good
He's
talented
damn
bucket
good, but
player.
there's no professional sport that one person can will a team to a World Series. You saw that with the Yankees last year.
Mhm. Gone are the days when you can have one player that can will your team to a championship in any sport.
Yep.
Any sport.
Them
Because
things
the
gone.
talent pool is just so much more vast than what it used to be.
Yep. And the evolution of the athlete don't help things either. Athletes are bigger, stronger, faster now. So the evolution of the athlete don't help it either.
And you know, and that's why you can't. I think that the Yankees front office should have done a lot more than focus all of their energy on signing Aaron Judge. There should have been, because I mean, Rizzo hasn't been performing, Harrison Bader hasn't been performing, Giancarlo Stanton hasn't been performing, and that's the meat of your lineup. That's the middle of your lineup where you should be at least getting guys on base,
right?
At least one decent home run hitter in the meat of that lineup, and the Yankees just collapsed when Aaron Judge got hurt.
Even Judge being gone, there's no reason they shouldn't have been able to find a way to manufacture runs.
Well, if they could have found a way to manufacture runs and hold and keep themselves within the race,
right?
I think Judge would have come back at some point, if not play out.
I think he would have come back a little quicker.
Yeah, and at this point, there's no reason for him to come back this season. He can take the time, let it heal right, so it's not an issue again.
And that's the thing is, you're right. You might as well just because, especially with the amount of money that you're paying Judge, because this isn't like the NFL where you're making less if you're on injury. This is all guaranteed money. Aaron Judge is getting that money.
Yep.
Sit him down.
You'd be better off as the Yankees organization to make sure he's healed.
Exactly.
Because you've already said he's your guy for the next
10 years.
But here's my thing. And it causes me physical pain to say this as a Red Sox. The Yankees should be ahead of Boston right now in the AL East, even with the fact that they lost Judge. You look at what Boston has dealt with this year. Garrett Whitlock, who's one of the best young pitchers in baseball, has been out because of injury. Tanner Houck, a great pitcher, has been out due to injury. Trevor Story, we have not had him all year.
True.
Because of injury. Kike Hernandez had more throwing errors playing in the infield than anybody else in baseball up to when he was traded for the season. And I thought it was kind of weird that the Dodgers, all of the trades that the Dodgers made, they didn't get better. The Dodgers.
When you said the Dodgers are a playoff team, I'm still not sure.
If anything,
the Dodgers are at least a wild card team.
Yeah, they got a little worse, but that doesn't mean they won't manage to back themselves into the wild card spot.
Because even if you look, the other team that would win that division in the NL West is the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the Diamondbacks are young. I said at the start of the year they were a playoff team, and clearly they are. But I don't think the Diamondbacks are ready for that top slot. They're a wild card team. And so I think that the Dodgers are still going to get that division because the Giants aren't coming back.
So let me ask you this. So do you think the National League is the Braves for the taking?
Yeah.
I'm starting to think that too.
Absolutely. Now they have to. They struggled. We were talking about this before you came in. They've been struggling for the last couple of weeks. They got swept by Boston.
Mm-hmm.
They've been struggling the last couple of weeks. But now that the distraction of the trade deadline has passed them, I think that they find their consistency again, and we see them go into the postseason ready to go. And right now, in a 7-game series, the Dodgers or the D-backs are not beating.
Nope.
And they are the two best contenders. What do we don't get me wrong, I love what the Reds are doing and how consistent they've been. Or are we going to say that the Reds could beat the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, or the Reds right now?
The Reds are younger than the Diamondbacks. Like the Reds are great, and I love Ellie De La Cruz, and he is Rookie of the Year for sure. And
yeah.
That
like,
future is
That's
bright though.
NL. Yeah, he's
but
NL.
yeah, I think you're looking at the Reds next season, maybe 2025, before you're
Yeah.
really thinking Reds World Series.
They need more experience. But the future is really looking bright for that squad.
Which I
Absolutely.
love seeing. I love that.
And I don't know why Boston did what they did. We add a little bit of depth with Urias that honestly we don't need. You're trading for a guy that's on a pro contract, and you're just immediately optioning into AAA because that's what Boston did. They traded for him an option into AAA Worcester as a depth piece that I think is going to be dependent on how Trevor Story is doing. But Trevor Story is going to be back by the end of August. Chris Sale pitched two or three scoreless innings tonight and was throwing over 100 in his first rehab start. So we will see Chris Sale back by the end of August. Garrett Whitlock is going to be back by the 1st of September. I think projections are that Tanner Houck will as well. But Boston should have made a splash move. Something more substantial than fucking Luis Urias. Like, and I'm always gonna cheer for my team. I'm always gonna hope that they do well. I hope that they are a wild card team because I'm not blind and lost enough to think that they can get the division or anything. But it's not looking good for Boston sports fans for this year either.
It's not looking good for New England fans as a whole, period. That thing looking bad. Maybe the Bruins might do a little stop.
I mean, maybe they can. Everybody in New England can kind of just hope that Jalen Hurts does well for the Eagles and the Eagles get back to the Super Bowl.
I think that's a very likely.
I know, not out of question. Definitely.
I see this as it's the Eagles' year to me personally, but
we'll see.
You definitely see that.
I mean, the only reason I say that, and it's not what we're talking about, but the Eagles did not only get better in offseason and in their draft, they got much better, which I didn't think was possible considering how good they were last year. If Jalen hadn't got hurt last year, their record would have been a lot different. That's the key to their success this year. Jalen has to stay healthy all season.
Yep. That's the key to success for the Dolphins.
I mean, they lost the Super Bowl, and he was still said to be the better quarterback.
I mean, he's not because it's Patrick fucking Mahomes.
In that game.
Yeah, no, it's Patrick Mahomes was in that game. He was not the better quarterback.
Well, Pat was injured.
Yeah, Patrick on one leg is still better than Jalen Hurts on two. But it's the last 2 months of the baseball season are going to be electric because of how tight things are. There are going to be some teams that start to pull away from the pack. I think that Baltimore and Tampa Bay both gain some ground in their positions and become more rooted in where they're at. Toronto's one of those teams where there's a lot of talent and they've done well. They could fall apart at any second.
Yeah,
they really could. So we'll see what happens.
I really thought Tampa was going to fall apart, like really fall apart.
Give it time. What was it? Was it last year, the year before they went 107 wins and didn't even make the ALCS? Give it time.
But real quick, before we get out of here, my last question is for you is, were you surprised that the Angels did not move Shohei?
I think it's the dumbest fucking move that they've ever done. Plain and simple. Dumbest fucking move they've ever done.
I agree.
Shohei wants to win a World Series. The Angels are.
He's gone after this season, no matter what. They should have gotten something for him.
I don't think he resigns with the Angels. I think there's going to be a lot of money on the table, especially teams like the Mets, the Yankees, and the Red Sox that and the Dodgers that don't have a problem sitting down at the table going, this isn't a negotiation. You tell me how much money you want, and I write you a check. That's how this works.
Yeah.
And you know, the Angel in Art Moreno isn't going to compete with that. He can't. And so now the Angels are going to go down in history as the team that got absolutely nothing for losing Shohei Ohtani. Except I don't know if I can't remember if the MLB does comp picks when you lose somebody like that in free agency. But yeah, Shohei's not going to be in any.
I heard there's thought in the organization that they still have a playoff chance. I don't know.
They think they do, but they're one of those teams that I think they're 5 games out, 4 or 5 games out. But there's not enough production on that team, offensively or on the mound, to develop enough consistency to be even a wild card team. The Angels are one of those teams that I don't think is I have already written them off as not being a postseason team. And it would take something substantial for me to change my mind on that.
I agree.
Makes sense.
All right, boys. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode. This special
Trade deadline special.
Trade deadline special. 7, it's always nice seeing you, sir.
I'll be around.
Real quick, 7. Can we say now we're gonna get into the meat and potatoes of the season? Can we say that now?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. This is when it's time. If you're a casual baseball fan, this is when time.
This is when you're paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
My TV will be
Also,
on more games.
Really quick, respect to Eduardo Rodriguez for invoking his no trade clause to stay in Detroit and not go to the Dodgers. That was the funniest shit
That's hilarious.
I've ever seen.
He's like, no, I don't want to go to that garbage ass team.
He's still bitter about 2021, is what it is.
But all right, boys. Well, thank y'all for joining us, and y'all have a great night. And we will see you on Monday for Sports Report and next Tuesday for Fight Night. Thank y'all, guys.
It is.
Have a good night, everybody.